Hello, how you doing, everybody? It's been a while. We haven't done a video, and what we did is we went back to the comments people left and what we've been hearing on one-on-one with people, and they've been asking pretty much for Rick, what is it that you consider are the steps on booking a couple? And let me tell you, when I started, I heard 7, 8 steps, okay? I have it down to 10 and a plus, so let's call it 11, okay? And now, your company probably gives you a training manual or something, and they can use maybe 1, 2 less or add from what you're going to hear from me today. Whatever you feel comfortable and that is assisting you in booking more, then I guess that's what you should use, okay? This is just, as I always say, it's what has worked for me throughout the year, and for the people that I've trained from scratch and I see that it works for them, then I keep using it. If not, I modify it or I change it. And it also has to do with which type of location you're working at. You can work at airport, it'll be different than an outhouse location, a street booth, okay, or in a shopping mall, or it's very different than when you work at an in-house, okay? So these are Rick's 10 steps on booking a couple. You have a pen? Something to write on? Let's get started. Number 1, stopping the prospect. Stop the prospect. It sounds a simple one, you know. Hey, if I say a hello and they stop fine, or I say a joke, they stop. You know, some won't. No, this is a very, very crucial, okay? Because this is like walking into the jungle empty-handed, or walking into the jungle or the forest with a machete, and you know you just okay. A stopper, it's not. First of all, we got to understand that a stopper does not necessarily apply for all type of prospects. There'll be some stoppers that you use for single ladies, if you see 2 or 3 single ladies walking by, or there's some stoppers that are for families, and there's some stoppers for 2 a quinella, you know, 4 people walking together. A quinella, different kind of stopper, okay? Let me give you an example of something that I love to use. I don't know where I heard it from, but I know it was 25 years ago, somewhere in Cancun, and I kept it. I don't claim it's mine. I just borrow it, but I love it. Someone walking by, you know, using the right tone of voice, you tell them, "Excuse me, do you have your walking license?" You have to say it fast and with a little bit of authority, and then as they and you point down to their feet. As soon as you try it a few times, and it's always the same. They're gonna look down at their feet, like, because you're just pointing to their feet, and then their mind will react afterwards, and they'll just laugh. That's a good stopper, okay? Because this you can apply to almost everybody, okay? But there's some stoppers that you can't, okay? I always say, if you want to be a killer OPC, do your homework. At the end of the day, doing your homework will get you more production and bigger checks, okay? Some people just like to work harder. No, if you do your homework, if you're smart, if you put some talent behind it, you don't have to work as hard, and you'll get even better results, okay? Here's the second step, breaking the ice. Breaking the ice is not the same thing as a stopper. A stopper could be assisted by an icebreaker, but an icebreaker is a little bit more, you know, they're not walking by, they're in front of you, okay? And you say something to make them laugh, to make them feel comfortable, to make them, you know, to put them at ease, okay? So it's different. A stopper is something you can just be very serious. If you're, you know, very serious. "Excuse me, sir, can you give me your time?" That not necessarily was an icebreaker. That was just a stopper. They'll stop. If you say it with the right attitude, you're dressed properly. I mean, if you're dressed like a homeless person, who's going to give you the time? They're going to think you're probably want to take their watch, right? So you got to be careful with, your appearance as well. But we'll talk about another video about that. So number one is stop the prospect. Number two, the icebreakers. Again, on these two, do your homework. Do your homework. Number three, the meet and greet. The meet and greet sounds similar than an icebreaker, but it's not. See, because on the meet and greet, they should be in front of you, and you should be able to use the Fantastic Four. If you don't know what the Fantastic Four are and how to use them, look at my past videos and you'll see. The Fantastic Four is body language, tone of voice, eye contact, and facial expression. All those, when you're talking to someone, when you're pitching someone, when you're convincing someone, persuading someone, the more of these you use, the easier it will be to convince them. If you become a master of the four, voila, amigo. Like this, okay? Most of the people in the industry, the OPCs or VCs, just use two, one or two. If you pay attention to your coworker, you're going to see that they use one or two, sometimes, occasionally three. But no, you should use 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Maybe drop to 2 once in a while, but during your presentation, whatever is that you're pitching, and whatever stage of your presentation, always use as much as possible, okay? Meet and greet. Number 4, discovery. In the discovery, there's two things that happen. Number 1, very important for the paycheck, that's where you will find out if they're Q or they're NQ. A good friend of mine used to say, that's where you determine if they're a prospect or a suspect. Okay? And back again, nobody gets paid on the NQs. Okay? Nobody gets paid on the NQs. And there is no reason for you to master all the other or use the other steps if they're in NQ. So one of the things that discovery does is find out if they're Q or NQ. The second thing is you learn through the discovery what are the hot buttons, the red buttons, meaning what is it that they like when they're on vacation, who typically chooses where to go on vacation, why did they choose this destination. You can ask a simple question on the discovery. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, let me ask you a question. Out of all the islands in the Caribbean, which there's about 35, 45 of them, why did you choose this one? Why did you choose my island if you're in Bahamas or if you're in Dominican or if you're in Jamaica? Why did you choose Jamaica? Let them tell you why. They're going to give you valuable information that you will use later on. Okay? Make sense? Okay, here's the next one. Number 5. This is what I call DAY. D-A-Y. D-A-Y. D stands for destination, A stands for activity, and Y stands for yourself. Okay? You got to be a master. You have to gather enough information to become a master on pitching the day. The destination, if you're in Cabo San Lucas, if you're in Puerto Vallarta, if you're in Cancun, if you're in Bahamas, if you're in St. Martin, you got to know your destination. And not only the typical tourist attractions, you got to know the local attractions. That's what's going to get the guest wanting to listen to you more, because you're telling them something that they didn't find on internet or they didn't hear from their travel agent. Okay? That's important. Now you become important to them. If you know your destination very good, you become important to them. Number 2, the activities. I know that the travel agencies, the travel reps know the activities, but it's you that have to be a master on the activities and use the Fantastic Four. Remember the Fantastic Four? Okay? Body language, tone of voice, eye contact, and facial expression. Okay? See, you can tell us, the travel rep can tell a story about the dolphins or about the manta ray swimming with mantas or the snorkeling place, but they won't buy from him because they're short on money, but they'll buy from you because you got them excited. It was your personality in the Fantastic Four And because you know more information of the activities than anybody else in town. Okay? Number 3, yourself. You got to become a master on pitching yourself, your personality. You know, it all depends if you're female, male, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 40s. You create a story about yourself that makes it attractive for the person, okay, to be listening to you. Your story, you know, how did you start in the business? Why did you start in the business? The economy, okay? Never belittle your country or wherever you're working, okay? Or your company, because that only talks bad about yourself. You know, you can talk about your struggles when you started in the business, okay? You can put a little bit of drama into it if you use the Fantastic Four. You know, make them want to help you, make them want to feel some sympathy for you. That they're like, okay, you know, show your good heart through a nice story, okay? Never forget day, destination, activity, and about yourself. Master those 3 things. Number 6, and for me the most important of all, and I put it at number 6 just to put it in the middle, but it starts from number 1 all the way to the end, and it's called the warm-up. The warm-up. And we can do 2 videos of the warm-up, and some of you already know the meaning of this because I've shared it, I think, in other videos. And the warm-up is anything you say or do that makes your prospect feel comfortable, important, happy, or appreciated. Think about it. What can you say or what can you do that will make your prospect feel important, happy, or appreciated? If they have kids, if they look in love, here's one that I commonly use and I love it. Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez, can I ask you a question? You folks look like, I mean, you're in your 50s. In reality, they're in their 60s, but you know, it always drop some years. It looks like you're in your 50s and you're holding hands. You look like you're in love and you're vacationing. Can I ask you how many years you've been married? And they're going to say something like 25, 30. Wow. Congratulations. Can you give me the secret? What do you think? Maybe it's a different answer, Mrs. Gonzalez, from you, sir. So can you give me each your secret? And let them talk. Let them give you their secret. Couples that are traveling together, holding hands, and they're, you know, above their 40s, you know, they have gone through some rough times in their matrimony, just like anybody else, but because of the age, you know, they have gone through more, most likely. So they've won those battles, and they would want to share it with you. And that starts creating bonds, a friendship between you and them, okay? That's a warm-up. It makes them feel important, that you care. And if they do talk about it, it's because they're comfortable. Right there, it's 2 out of the 4. And they feel appreciated because you asked them the question. That's 3 of those 4. And if you constantly do this throughout your presentation, a few times, maybe 4 or 5 times, wow. There is no reason why they have to give you the excuse of, we just got here. Let us think about it. We'll come back. See, because those are excuses. Because they either don't like you enough or don't trust you enough. If you do your warm-up, and that's why it's the crucial step for me, the most important one. If you learn how to do your warm-up, wow, nobody will resist you, okay? So let's move on. Number 7, pitch the club. If I ask you this, tell me 3 reasons, give me 3 reasons why a prospect should visit your club. You probably don't even know what to answer. Why? Because we do not master this. I'm not going to go deep into this step, but I'm just going to tell you this. This step, pitching the club, makes the difference between being a hero in sales or being a nobody in sales. And 65%, 60 to 65% of your check has to come from sales, not from queues. If it's coming from queue, if it's the other way around, that means that you're just an average OPC that learned how to tell some lies, some lines, and that's it. Your check has to come from sales. 65% of your check has to come from sales. That means that you are doing the right kind of work, that you're pitching correctly, no lies, a lot of warm-up, a lot of discovery, and you know how to pitch your club. Now, you probably can tell me, well, yes, I can. I think that my guests should come because of the benefits, because of the savings. Well, let me tell you, no. Those phrases, that's for the liner, the closer to say, not marketing, okay? We can do another video on it because this is a very important step so you can have good VPGs instead of low VPGs. So I think it's an important step. Leave your comments. Leave your comments on the steps that you want us to do a video on, okay? Here we go. Number 8, collect the deposit. Some locations demand the OPC, VC to collect the deposit. Some in-houses don't allow it. Well, that's if you want a video on that, on how to ask for a deposit, we can do it. That's step number 8. Number 9, recap. And this is an important step too. See, because you've been speaking too much, you've got your personality and your energy going, you've talked a lot, people might not remember everything you tell them that's going to happen tomorrow. So what you do is a little recap. You get the invitation, you flip it upside down, okay, and you're going to do something like this: few squares and a line. Sorry, okay. And what you're going to do there is, it depends on your program. This is what I would do. I write down on that line, marital status, time, 90-minute presentation, sales presentation, and credit card. Why? Why do I write this down? Because I don't want them to forget of what's happening tomorrow. Okay, I don't want to lose a queue. Okay, but it's not about the queue. See, if there's some misunderstanding next day because you did not explain something correctly to the guest, or they didn't remember what's gonna happen if they start losing your trust because they think you lied to them, you can lose a sale. And just imagine if you're working for a good company, the average sale should be around 18,000 right now. I don't know how many points you get on a sale, but if it's at least 2 points out of a sale like that, you're losing above $300. I think you can buy a couple of good pair of shoes with that, right? Take your family, your wife to a nice dinner, wine, something. Why lose that money just because you didn't do your recap? So what you do is you grab the back of the invitation and you say, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Williams. And you lower your tone of voice and you bring down your energy. Now you're talking purely business. We're going to meet at what time? 9 a.m. Okay, yes, 9 a.m. And you need to bring, besides this invitation, what are 2 things that you're going to need? Your credit card and your IDs. Both of you, right? Yes, alrighty, good. And you folks told me that you're married, right? To each other. Okay, yes, married. Right? See, you're covering the most important details of this presentation. And remember, I said that this is a sales presentation. Yes. And we can do a video just on pitching the sales presentation. Leave your comments, okay? So you write down a day before in the back of a few invitations. You know, before your day starts, grab 6, 8 invitations and write this little square and lines so you can use them for your recap. It can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 7, it all depends. Just don't make them boring. And then at the end, can I have your autograph here, please? And get their autograph and put your name. Okay? That's a simple step. But 95% of the VCs, OPCs nowadays don't use it. And then you complain that you have chargeback because you had 2 or 3 NQs during the week. Or, well, you lost maybe at least a sale because your guest thought that you were either lying or you avoided some of the information. Okay, here it is. And then the last thing, it would be the close. Close the invitation. That means you talk to them about the travel agency. You know, they're going to burn them. You talk about don't do any other activity for tomorrow because tomorrow is my time. Okay, especially if you book them early in the morning, they got all day to book an activity, whether it's a spa in the morning or whatever. So you got to work with that. Okay, you got to make sure that your time matches their time back home. See, like if you're in Cancun and you invite someone that's coming from California, that's about a 3-hour difference, time zone. So if you invite them, they agreed for